This is Let's Talk Big, the big read with Jane Berger and Jen Hazel. The Owens Community College Campus Big Read is taking place now and throughout the semester, with the goal of bringing awareness of different perspectives through books. The Campus Read book is A Little Less Broken, How an Autism Diagnosis Finally Made Me Whole by Marian Shambari. It's the story of one woman's decades-long journey to a diagnosis of autism and the barriers that keep too many neurodivergent people from knowing their true selves. Now, sharing passages, topics, and events related to the book are Director of Library Services, Jane Berger, and Professor of English, Jen Hazel.
Welcome to Let's Talk Big. My name is Jen Hazel, and I have with me Jane Berger and Melissa Baranowski, who is an American Sign Language interpreter student. Welcome, Melissa.
Hello.
Thanks for making time in your schedule to come hang with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Jane, do you have a passage?
I do. This is my favorite question of all time. I do. We're getting toward the end of the book because we're closing in on author time. So, 234. Which is why the second objection I heard was equally maddening. No one is really normal. We all struggle. Stop labeling everything. Let's accept everyone for who they are. I mean, sure. In a perfect world, we'd all be free to be you and me. In a perfect world, I could have asked for and received accommodations years ago without being called names. In a perfect world, all disabled people would have equal opportunities and access to whatever supports enable us to participate in all areas of society. But we don't live in a perfect world, and it's cruel to decide that someone who's struggling should continue to struggle because a label makes you uncomfortable. For a student to receive services, they need a diagnosis. For a person to get benefits, they need a diagnosis. For an employee to qualify for office accommodations, they need, wait for it, a diagnosis. Autistic people die significantly younger than neurotypicals, with one study showing an average life expectancy of 39 years. One common reason for this high mortality is suicide, with rates 9 times higher than neurotypicals. 9 times. Most autistic people who die by suicide are what people would call high functioning, in that they were previously diagnosed with Asperger's or don't have co-occurring intellectual disabilities. So we should be fine, right? We're smart and functional and therefore can't possibly be disabled. The truth is, autistic children are almost 6 times more likely to consider suicide if they have an IQ of 120 or higher. So functional, so much less severe. Until that perfect world magically exists, what are we supposed to do? Spend our lives watching the rest of the world laugh in bars with their heads thrown back and get baby showers organized on their behalf and make it through a single day at work without a shrieking meltdown? For better or worse, labels help make sense out of ourselves, help us understand our needs and our place in the world. Labels dull the ache of dismissal. Labels help us find community when we've spent most of our lives alone. Labels allow the people who love and care for us to do so more effectively. There's a lot in this page. And it seems we label people so readily just about lots of things. I mean, I don't know, labels just seem sort of normal for, and not just in describing humans, but I guess that's just how we seem to make sense of things in our world is we'll label it, we'll call it this, we'll do this. What do you think? Do you think being labeled is acceptable? It's what is needed. What do you think about what Marian said in the book?
Honestly, it really depends. I mean, so when people get treated by their label, sometimes it can be very rude or very mean. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to that, then the label's not fun.
True.
But at the same time, I do agree that, in order for people to get help, they have to have some type of diagnosis. And it is tough because a lot of times when you get diagnosed with autism or even any like disability, you get bullied very, very easily.
So who lets the diagnosis out? I mean, if a kid is in school, gets a diagnosis of, let's say, autism, and is high functioning, you wouldn't necessarily be able to know as another kid in the class, but yet somehow word gets out. How does...
So I would say this. First of all, I know she uses the word low functioning and high functioning in her book, but that in itself is not very readily accepted by the autism community, because what it does is it saying that one person has greater function than another. And the thing is, that's a misnomer because it's just different. Remember,
Right.
it's not like
Right.
it's like, it's more of like a wheel with the pieces sticking out on
Right.
what, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And it depends
yeah.
on how much you're affected by autism. So I always like cringe whenever I hear like high functioning. Yeah.
And
So,
that's why I like working with you, because I'm always learning something new.
well, thank you.
It's in print, it should be, I read it on the internet, it's true.
And see,
It should be. And I think what she is getting at there is that's what common individuals
Yeah,
would say, not
sure.
necessarily like that. And
Professionals, I
yes, and I always I try often when I hear it to like say something. It used to bother me a lot more, but now I'm just trying to educate
Thank you.
when I hear it. But I think, well, it's a couple of things. To answer your question, I think some of it is this. Sometimes it's obvious
Sure.
to individuals. Like, it's very obvious that my son has autism. Whether or not the kids that he goes to school with know the exact diagnosis or not, but they know that he is, and it's relative because everyone is different, but
Correct,
different
right. Yes.
than him. And it is sweet when I do see them interact and stuff. So that's always, I think, sweeter when they ask him questions or talk with him. But so sometimes it's an obvious thing. Other times the student discloses it.
Oh.
Is what happens.
Okay.
And I will say this, like I know someone, and we were, it was back when my son was doing that lemonade stand,
Mm-hmm.
and that they had to do for that school project. And the other child who he was doing it with also has autism, but it affects him differently, less than it affects Fox. And what was interesting is someone who came by, who I don't know all that well, but mentioned that their child also has autism but doesn't know it. And I feel like, and she had said like, oh, well, at some point here we should probably tell them. And the child is almost like, well, actually the child's almost like 12 or something.
Oh.
And like pretty much, so Fox was diagnosed around 3, and pretty much from the beginning we told him, and his sister knew, and like Fawn, let's see, when Fawn was around 3, Fox would have been like 5, 6, somewhere in there. And if we would go to parties and stuff, like she often is his voice and stuff for him. And so she would be like, hi, my name is Fawn. This is my brother Fox. He doesn't speak. He uses an iPad. And often these things will revolve around pools, as you know.
Yep,
And
yep.
and then she would say, like, he has autism, and that's why he doesn't speak. And so she even knows,
I
because there's
love
like a
that.
sense of being like, okay, because we exist in a world, and you said that earlier, we exist in a world with labels. That's how we categorize, that's how we understand things.
Yep.
And whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent,
Right, it's what we do.
it's what we do.
Yeah.
And I think Marion is, I mean, she's getting at, like, in a perfect world, everyone would have all these things that
Yep.
are available to them.
Yep.
But they don't. That is why we have to have labels, is so that people can get the services they
Right.
need. And I think that came a little bit from us talking about that really, like, last year and thinking about it, like, why do we have to have, like, the ADA?
Yeah.
Well, because people won't do what they need.
Right.
Not everyone, but collectively, it's
Sure.
like we won't. And I'm thinking about back to Sarah Novich and our, author from last year,
Yep.
that, like, why do we have the ADA? Well, because people aren't just going to provide that support
Right.
if they don't have to.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So not all people.
No, again, just
But-
generalization. But, did you have something?
I was gonna say it's the same thing with, it's some people. It is hard to see if they have autism. Like for myself, I've had speech therapy, and so my mom's like, "Yeah, you have autism. You're on the spectrum, but you also can very much hide it more than anybody else." But you can tell by people; they kind of can tell without really like getting the diagnosis. But you gotta think it's like Fawn. She is Fox's kind of safe person. He can relate to her, and she can relate to him in many different ways, which is why kids at that age are more not understanding, but they can see and relate to kids. But it's also the fact too is they watch everything.
Yeah.
Right, and so she, picks that up. But I would love to talk more about this because we didn't even get to the other part about the suicide part. So
I
I'm thinking
know.
we need to bring Melissa
You need to
back.
come
But
back.
we are done. We are out of time for today, and we will, I know. So I know, right? So on behalf of my guest, Melissa, and Jane Berger, I'm Jen Hazel. Keep talking big.
This has been Let's Talk Big. Catch Let's Talk Big anytime on the RSS feed or the Owens Outcome Plus YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. Join us again for Let's Talk Big, the big read with Jane Berger and Jen Hazel.